Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning into episode number 3 of the Insights of All Trades podcast. We have a really good one for you today with our dear friend and U.S. Marine, Dylan Cleck. I'm super excited to share that with you. And before we get into that, Nick, what's going on, dude?
Hey, man, how's it going? Long time no see, right?
It's going. You want to share today's insight with everyone?
Sure. We got an insight today from Chance, and he is from Mifflin, Pennsylvania, actually Licking Creek. And creek is like, that's a local term, but it's spelled creek, and we say creek for most things. For whatever reason, we say Licking Creek. But anyways, Chance says, don't hesitate. Take the step. The longer you think about it, the less likely you'll do it. What do you think about that, Cole?
I think I'm very guilty of not following that advice, but I think it's good advice. How about you?
I don't know. I feel like I've kind of lived by that in a way. Like, I signed my name to join the Army. I've signed up for this medical school stuff. I've signed up for, college. And during those times, you'll have these doubts like, man, why did I do this? But I think if I wouldn't have taken those steps, I think I'd have a lot more cognitive dissonance or, regrets than I do the regrets of actually choosing to do these things. So I think that's pretty good advice.
Yeah, I agree. If you feel that heart pull towards something, you're calling, for lack of a better term, to jump in towards that, I think is usually going to arrive at some sort of fulfillment.
Go with your gut, right? That's like another way of saying it. If you have a gut feeling to do something, just go for it. What's there to lose? So, yeah, thanks for the insight there, Chance. And everyone, please, if you have insights, we're ready for them. We have all of our handles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our Gmail is out there. It's insightsofalltrades@gmail.com. Just let us know what you guys are thinking. Let us know what's gotten you through life, through where you're at, and some tips and tricks that, maybe helped you be successful. So, like Cole said, we are super excited to get Dylan Cleck on the show today. It's going to be a good one, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. So stay tuned. Welcome to Insights of All Trades with Cole and Nick. This is where we talk to people we meet along our journeys through medicine, military service, sports, education, and beyond. We hope you enjoy.
Dylan Cleck, what's going on, dude?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, welcome to the show, man.
We are super happy to have you on. Just a little introduction for anyone listening. Dylan Cleck, he grew up with us. He's a U.S. Marine now, so should go without being said, but we'll say it here. Thanks for all you do, dude. It makes everything else that we do possible. So thank you for that. And, dude, you're an animal, first of all. Growing up with Dylan, super athlete, and I'm sure he's channeling that into his training, his continued training as being a Marine now. So walk us through it, dude. Going back a little bit, when did you know you wanted to be a Marine?
So, growing up, I never imagined I would have joined the military, let alone the Marine Corps. It was never a thought. I just figured I'd go off to college after high school because that's what everyone was doing. And that was my original plan. And I did go to college right after high school. I went to Hack in Harrisburg for one semester, and I despised it. I truly hated it so much that after the first semester, I dropped out. And I figured, well, I have it pretty set off at home just working for my dad. So I worked for my dad for a year, and everything was great. Like, I was making good money. I was living at home, saving my money up. But the feeling eventually came where I needed something more in my life, something to like, what am I going to be remembered for when I die? Just someone who eventually took over his father's business, which is fine and all. But I just kind of wanted something more to my name. So, military, Marine Corps. So I decided to do that. I joined up, and I left almost immediately as soon as I went into the recruiter. I left almost right away, and I went to basic training May 29th. I showed up May 29th in South Carolina at Parris Island, 2018 of last year. So, and I went, and that was 3 months of hell. That was the notorious Marine boot camp, and truly, it lives up to it. What can I say about boot camp? It was tough. Luckily, I'm past all of the rough stuff of the Marine Corps. I'm currently stationed in 29 Palms in California, and right now, pretty much all I do is a 8 to 12 hour day job, like Monday through Fridays. I get the weekends off, and I can enjoy myself then. So I did all the don't get me wrong. There's still some really tough situations, tough things we have to do. But until I get deployed, I'm just doing my job. So that's where I'm at now. So
Nice.
yeah.
So what was boot camp like, man?
Boot camp was it actually surprisingly went fast. Like no joke, it went like without any electronics, not just straight up, just training for 3 months straight. It went really fast, but it is such a culture shock. Like no matter who you are, no matter how you grew up, it is a culture shock to everybody who goes. And I was fortunate enough to have a pretty easy. I did not find it difficult whatsoever to adapt into that lifestyle. It like within the first week, I was like, okay, I'm gonna push through this. It's tough, but this is something I can get used to. And it was, and it's so weird because if you show videos of boot camp to a regular civilian who has no idea what military is like, they'd be like, that's insane, that's awful, because like the drill instructors, oh man. Some of the things the drill instructors would say to you, you would get arrested for in civilian, like saying that to a random person in the civilian world. But it's strange though, because like the drill instructors, like you would think you'd hate them. You would think the recruits would hate them a lot. And don't get me wrong, I did. Like, and everyone did at the beginning. Like they're like dicks. Like, but that's their job, and they're damn good at it because they're trained to be really, really good at it. But the thing is the first person I wanted to see after I graduated boot camp was my lead drill instructor. It's so weird. You build this bond with your drill instructor just from them screaming in your face every day. It's an odd thing. Like you just wouldn't think about it. But there's this small bond that forms between you because him yelling at you and training you every day is bettering you. There's 4 phases now actually. The first phase is just destroying you as a person and everything you were before to be nothing. Like you're in the most depressed state of your life and you're just, you want to die, legitimately want to die. And after they've done that, they start to build you back up in the second and third phase. And you are considered a Marine after you do what's called the Crucible, which is 4 days of complete hell. It's just pushing you to your limit to where you're like mentally pushing through it and physically, but like your body just breaks down so much you just can't take that next step, but like you just have to find it in you to keep going. And once you finish so you do the 3 days of the Crucible, which is just hiking and all these like small missions they set up for you to just break you down and to put you in the environment of what war would be like, of just like gunfire. Like one example is the Battle of Fallujah we did, and it's crawling through the sand in full gear for, no kidding, probably 100 yards, and you have three other Marines with you, well, recruits at the time, and you're carrying, there's a 40-pound ammo can one of you has to drag along with you, and then there's like an 85 ammo can that 2 of you try to drag, and you take breaks, and you have to get through it in a certain time, and in the meantime, they have the sound effects of just gunfires, things exploding all around you, screaming, everyone's screaming, and it's pretty intense stuff, but it's just something you have to do and just get through to get to that final step.
What kind of stuff? Did you do anything to prepare for boot camp, or did you just kind of go in blind, not knowing what's going to happen?
So before boot camp, I weighed like 215, 220, and to leave for boot camp, I had to cut down to what was it, 195. I had to leave for boot camp, so I did that within 2 months. So going down to boot camp, I was a lot lighter, and I felt a lot weaker because I had to lose all that weight, and I just felt like garbage. But at the end of boot camp, I went from 195 to 170. I graduated, and I weighed myself, I was 170. Like, you lose a ridiculous amount of weight there. And I had to change my whole training regimen. Like, beforehand, I was really into, the powerlifting and all of that. So I had to switch from that, and I hated running. I despised running, but I had to adapt into that mindset. Because all we do at boot camp is running and body weight stuff. Like, that's the whole, like, combat fitness type stuff going on. And so adapting to that, it wasn't the roughest. Like, don't get me wrong, other people had to have had a more difficult time than me just because I've just been working out for a long time. So I didn't have as much trouble as others did adapting into it. So that's honestly all I had to do to prepare for it. And there's no real way to adapt to it mentally. Like, you just have to go. You have to do it. And that's it, really.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you've done much reading into or listening into like the Navy SEALs training. I've been obsessed with that for whatever reason lately, listening to a lot of like Jocko Willink, David Goggins type people.
Yep.
So everything I'm hearing you talk about with your boot camp training, I'm like paralleling with like Bud's training for Navy SEALs, because being a civilian, I have no clue what that's like. But the mental toughness harnessed through that is something that I try to exploit with like the training I do. Again, it's like so far away from things like that, but I really like following people that like you and like those people that cultivate that mental toughness of going into something knowing it's going to be so painful and still choosing to move forward and keep your feet moving forward in the process. I love that mentality you have.
Absolutely. And I can't compare what I went through to Navy SEALs, because those guys are like they're legitimately a breed of men that are just above all else. Like, because that's special forces. That's that's miles above anything else, and like that's just something that I don't think. I mean, I would most certainly try out for something like that, but I mean, the amount of just raw like mentality you need to get through buds. Like, Marines have special forces. We have MARSOC and recon, and MARSOC is something. Yeah, they're called the MARSOC Raiders, and they're our like main special forces. And those guys, like, looking up their training, it is some of the most disgusting stuff you could imagine. Just getting through it, but like, don't get me wrong, I'm like, the Marine basic training was tough, but looking up that because I did a lot of research, because I actually used to want to be trying out for special forces. I always liked the idea of letting your hair grow out and you have a beard and everything. Like, that's badass. I always thought, and they actually go over and kill people. Like, we're in peacetime now, but they still go over and get shit done because they're special forces. Like, they're the real deal, and they know what to do. Like, their training is just extravagant, and it's truly amazing. We learn the basics of combat, but every nook and cranny you can imagine that goes into combat, they train for.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit about special forces and the fact that, like, would you start out before boot camp knowing that you want to do special forces and you do a specific boot camp, or is this something that you do after boot camp and you get selected for, you qualify for?
So MARSOC, so recon is our other special forces, which you can go into the Marine Corps for. It's a 5-year contract. There wasn't anything open for me, so I couldn't go for it, let alone I'm not even sure if I would have chosen it. But after Marine Corps basic training, you go and do recon training, and it's in California. And I know a few friends that went and tried it, and I know them just because they failed out. And they're some of the most in shape guys I've ever seen in my life. And I can't imagine the one guy I met in my MOS school, my job school. And he got through, so there's 2 halves of it. You go through the first half. He got through the first half, and then you have to go through a medical screening to approve you to go through the second part of it. And he failed it because he had fractures in both of his legs, and they just had to drop him. But luckily
Are these recent fractures or something that
he built up through the first part of training? Yeah, so it's pretty intense. And he actually got he was really happy because he got stationed with a MARSOC unit in California. So and I still hit him up nowadays to see how he's doing, and he loves it. He truly loves it. And he's not a MARSOC Raider, but he works really close to them. And I talked to him about because I've only ever met one MARSOC Raider in my life. And
what was he like?
Like, I don't know, he just seemed like a regular dude, but like, that's one badass dude. Like, you know it. And you'd expect these special forces guys to be these real, like, tough, like, strong, like, build up, but no kidding, he said that the 95% of them are just these scrawny dudes that are just tough as nails. and just.
So it's a lot more, would you say, mental toughness
Yes,
than
absolutely.
it is physical toughness?
Absolutely, without a doubt. It's because that's what, like, you just need to be ready for every situation because they're put in, like, real life. Like, they go over and do actual operations. Like, you need to be ready for anything. So
when you say actual operations, what are people that aren't in the special forces? What kind of operations would they be doing?
well, they can do any, like, it's this is what special forces are good. They're good at everything. Like,
Okay.
anything. I mean, like, you look at Call of Duty, it's literally all, because, like, majority of Call of Duty campaigns are operators. They're special forces. You play as operators. And it's from what I've heard, obviously I don't know firsthand, but it is a lot like that. So without all the, like, the helicopters flying through, because a lot of the stuff they do are just kill this target, rescue this target, but a lot more goes into it. So that's about it.
That's crazy. Jumping back into, I know you said that special ops do a ton of combat training, and you got your hands on a little bit. Do you know what sorts of combat training they're going into in terms of modalities like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, what kinds of striking, whether it's like Muay Thai, whatever,
Yeah.
or is it like a bit of everything?
So we have our own martial arts system. It's called McMAP. It's called Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, and it's actual belts like tan belt, gray belt, black, all the way up to black belt, and they do that plus more. Like they'll do some of those outside martial arts programs, but other than that, I'm not sure.
Dang. You want to get into that at all?
I don't have much information on it, or else I would. Like I've only ever watched it because, like, from what I've seen, there's not many MARSOC videos out there. Like I've tried looking up tons of videos, and there are some, but they don't give you too much. Like you look up Budge training and Navy SEAL stuff. Like there's a lot on it because they're a lot more popular. Like they're the most popular special forces in our country. So, that's about it. Which I mean, but we are with the Navy. Like the Marine Corps branch came from the Navy, right? Because we have our bases consist of Marines and Navy. That's because Marine Corps works most closely with Navy corpsmen because the Marine Corps doesn't have its own like medical MOS, like their jobs. So we just use Navy corpsmen to help us.
So how do the Marines differ from the Navy now then?
The only guys I've been around are Navy corpsmen, and from what I can tell, they're good guys. They are. I don't want to get into how like the Marine Corps is like this almighty branch, like we're above the rest. But like they're pretty damn like right on the line with us. So I'm happy to be with the Navy. I'd much rather not anything against the Air Force or the Army, but I'm happy that they're the branch that I'm with. So
yeah, absolutely. I feel like every branch kind of feels that own sense of pride with them. What do you feel with the Marines is the big selling factor?
So I didn't join, like you see most people join the military, and the ones that join the military for the benefits and all of the things you get out of the military for themselves, they join the Air Force and the Army. I didn't join because of that. I didn't join for the benefits. I didn't join for anything like that. I joined for the like honor and pride that just have in myself. So what other branch should join the Marine Corps? So I joined that solely for that reason. Not to say that other branches have their own obstacles, but I just, in my opinion and many others, we just have more difficult and more obstacles.
Sure,
to go
yeah.
through,
So let's get into that a little bit. Like what made you decide to join the Marines over the other branches? I know you just kind of touched a little bit on it, but is there,
So I didn't even talk to any other recruiters of any other branches. I just talked to my Marine Corps recruiter, and he didn't even have to influence me. I was like, I want to do this. It's like I need something more in my life, and I just went off and I did it. And that's what you need to do. Because I originally joined back. If I was going to join back when I originally enlisted, I would be in for 2.5 years right now. I would have been almost a year and a half left, which I wish I would have. But the first time I was like, my parents talked to me, and they didn't want me to go. They didn't. They talked to me, and they said how much they would miss me, and I miss them all the time. Don't get me wrong, but they influenced me to stay home. My dad offered me a job, and I loved it. I loved working for my dad. I was an estimator. I went out and I measured driveways. I estimated the price for them, and I came out with estimates, sent them to them in the mail, and that was my job, and I loved it. But like I said, it came to the point where I'm not satisfied with where I'm at in my life. So,
and for those that don't know, Cleck's dad he owns a paving company.
Yes.
Is that right? Yep.
Correct.
So he was working for him a little bit before for the Marines.
Yeah, and it was great. And that's honestly probably what I'm going to do whenever I get out. I have all this plan. I'm saving up all my money right now, and by the time I get out, I should be able to build my own house, and I want to build my own house on the property right across from my parents' current house where I live whenever I come home, and then just work for my dad, and eventually whenever he wants to step down, he just hands the business over to me, and that's honestly probably just what I'll end up doing. I have other plans like moving somewhere and getting, because like I am going to use the benefits I get. Like, I'm not a dumbass. I'm actually going to go and do like it makes getting a job much easier in any field, because like military background always looks really good. And I'm definitely not going back to college. I hated that college. Well, not just that. Like hack was terrible. But like,
Shout out to Hack.
Yeah, true. I hated it so much. Hack was garbage. I don't care. Screw Hack. I truly hated that place. I went to Hack. I went to Hack with the first semester with 3 of my buddies. I went with Tristan, James, and Nick. And me and James actually, well, he went to the Army. We both got out after our first semester, and we both joined the military. And Nick and Tristan, well, Nick's doing the mortuary thing with his father, taking over the funeral business, and then Tristan, he's in Penn State right now, continuing college. Good for him, but just college was just not for me. Like just furthering, like, because I felt like I had to do what everyone else was doing, go off to college, and that's great. Like, if college is for you, that's awesome. Go and do that. Further your education. It's gonna be worth it. But I came to realize I just it's not for me. I already did 13 years straight of just bullshit school that I hate so much. So I was like, I need to do something else. So
do you have any advice for people that might be in high school, or maybe not feeling fulfilled with what they're doing right now? Anything like, it seems like you totally took a 180 and switched right into the Marines. Any sort of advice for those kind of people that might not be, feeling satisfied where they're at?
So I wasn't even sure right after high school if college would be for me. I was questionable on it, so I was like, give it a try. So I went to a community college. It's cheap. You can pay it off. It's easy. It's a lot better than going to a university for the first 1-2 semesters and owing so much more money.
Turn up.
Exactly. Right. Well, I mean, but like, if it's, you, both of you fellas, you're still kicking it, and you guys both doing very well from what I hear. So, but like the people who it's not for them, I would definitely try, or the ones that are questionable, want to just try out a community college. If you hate it, back out, do what you want to do. If you do turn to military, make sure you look into each branch. If you're doing it for the benefits and for the things you'll get when you get out, join the Air Force, the Army, the Navy. But if you want to do it for your own self pride and confidence and everything, the Marine Corps is really, in my opinion, the only branch that can give you those things. But just try things. Just honestly try things, and if you don't like it, quit. Don't feel like you have to keep doing it just because everyone else is doing it,
Yeah,
So.
I think that says a lot about you just as a person. Going back to the college thing, like to be able to, dip your feet in for a semester and still be willing to step away. I kind of say that tongue in cheek because, luckily I'm someone that's immersed in my education, and I do love it, but I think it would be kind of delusional to think that it's for everyone, because it's not for everyone. The same way that the Marines isn't for everyone. I could go and not have as fulfilling of an experience as you. So for you to, kind of veer around until you find a path like the Marines, I wish everyone kind of had that courage, step out of the box, and not get pushed, whether it be from friends, family, etc., into some path that's not really for them. if that could be a takeaway for anyone, I feel like that's a pretty universal takeaway is that should be able to try things, even if it's not what maybe your family or friends want you to do.
Exactly.
I had
so many people try talking me out of it, and they almost got to me. So, no kidding, whenever I actually signed that piece of paper and was going off, I didn't tell anybody except for my parents. That's it. Well, because they obviously deserve to know, like, where's my kid gone? You know, he just disappeared someday. So I didn't tell, not even my closest friends. I didn't even tell, like, my closest friends at the time were Alex White and Kai Jang, and I didn't tell either of them, and they didn't find out where I'd gone. I made up this BS story that I went out to California to do estimating for this really big paving company, and it was just a load of garbage.
So why'd you decide to do that instead of just telling people? Was there a reason for that?
I knew they were gonna they weren't gonna try to talk me out of it. They were just gonna tell me all the negatives, and this is something you have to do, and you just have to go. Like, you can't overthink it. Yeah. I knew boot camp was gonna be hard. I knew it was gonna break me down, but something in me wanted that. Like, I wanted to better myself, because from the looks of it, like, there are a lot of garbage human beings in the military. Don't get me wrong, like, there are. But, you know, I've met some of the most, like, just the greatest men I will ever meet in the military. Like, truly. Like, it does change people for the better. So, and that's the kind of guy I wanted to be. So, that's it.
Did you meet any of these people before you joined, or are these all people you met while you were in the military?
I met a lot of buddies at boot camp that I got really close to, and it sucks because you do those 3 months there and you just get connected with all these, like, dudes that you would take a bullet for, literally, and then you all go off after you graduate to separate places for your job school, and then, like, you'll never, like, there's so many of them I've never seen since graduation at boot camp, which was 10 months ago. So, but there's still some I see. Like, there's some stationed at 29 Palms where I'm at.
That's in LA, right?
That it's 3 hours south of Los Angeles in California. Okay. It's in the desert. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I put in, so you get to prioritize where you get stationed at by putting West Coast, East Coast, or overseas. And I put West Coast in the hopes to get Hawaii or Camp Pendleton. I wanted one of those. I wanted Hawaii.
Where's
Hawaii.
Camp Pendleton at?
Camp Pendleton is right near L.A. It's It's really close to L.A. It's
close to the shore and stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's a beautiful place to be stationed at. And I was like, well, I'm obviously going to get one of these awesome places. Like come on. And then the time came when we were about to graduate our schooling, and I was in North Carolina for my schooling, and they said, Cleck, and I stood up, and they were like, 29 Palms, California, and I didn't say a single word the rest of the day. Everyone was coming up to me in my class after class and just, like, saying, I'm so sorry. They were apologizing to me.
It's a little demoralizing to hear from your
I was so upset. Now, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, it sucked at the time, but I've been there for 9 months, and, like, I've met some good dudes, and I'm honestly happy I got stationed there now. Like, and no kidding, the desert grows on you, like, no joke. And, like, don't get me wrong, I came home and I saw grass for the first time in 9 months. Made my day. It made my day. It was great. So.
What is your job out there?
So I am a maintenance management specialist. It's a lot of paperwork. That I do. I work a lot with, so, you know, the vehicles we used to invade Normandy Beach way back.
Yeah.
Like, that's my unit. That's the vehicles that we work with. And I'm responsible for pretty much getting the parts for those vehicles, secondary repairing the parts for those vehicles. You know, I deal with parts that are over $150,000. Like, I have to take those up and get them repaired and get a new one and replacement for that. And along with that, the majority of my job is paperwork. So, and it's not bad. It's not, like, it's better than being infantry, which was what I originally wanted, and being out in 100-degree heat with full combat gear on and hiking. So I'm not complaining. So
when you aren't at work, is there anything you like to do for fun there, or is being out in the desert kind of limit you from
there's-
having fun?
There's really not anything to do. There's not. Like, okay, so people say it is what you make it. It's not what you make it. It's
You heard it
not.
here first.
There's nothing to do other than PT, like lifting, exercise, and playing video games in your barracks room, which is what I usually do because I love gaming, and that's another big part of my life. So that's pretty much all I do.
What video games?
Oh my goodness.
Give us the list.
Okay. So many games
you
I
like
play. Yeah, RuneScape. Yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of people like old school RuneScape. I grinded the first 5 months I got out there, and I just grinded that in all my free time. I just grinded that game. But now I'm playing with some of my buddies on League of Legends and just in my free time. That's it. And I watch YouTube videos when none of them are on. So. Boring. It's a boring.
What level are you on RuneScape, Dylan?
Oh, my combat level is like 117. I'm a boss. I'm a master old school, dude. I can't lie. I have like 4 99s, 99 attack, 99 strength, wood cutting, and cooking. I'm like,
Cooking,
yeah, cooking. Yeah, the easiest one to get. Yeah.
The master chef.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But, and people will talk about like I'll get into this. People say about how they don't pay military enough. They do. It's just like the dipshits in the military. They spend their money in the most dumbass ways I've ever seen. Like so many of them I know go off to strip clubs every week and just throw their paychecks out the window.
Oh boy.
Like I have a bunch of money. We don't spend our money on anything. We get our housing for free. All of our like health insurance. We have medical for free, dental, visual, all that
TRICARE.
garbage. Yes, everything for free. We don't pay for garbage except for our car payment, our car insurance, and Wi-Fi, like Netflix, stuff like that. And that takes like that's pretty much nothing out of our paycheck. You don't have to pay for anything. Like don't get me wrong, we don't get a base pay of that much, but all you do is save that money up if you're smart about it. So.
Yeah, so you said a little earlier, we're going back a little bit, you said that, you wish you would have done the 2.5 year route. So does that mean you're wanting to get out? Or you're not having a great time? What are you thinking there?
So I don't hate the military. I don't hate it. It's just, it's not for me. Like, I've met some guys in there that they love it. They love the lifestyle to death. They love waking up every morning at 5 to go PT and then to go to work for 10 hours. They take pride in that, which good for them. Like, they're good guys. But from what I've found is that I just, it's not something I want to do long term. So I am without a doubt getting out May 29th, 2022. So.
Okay. Is there anything else you're hoping to get out of it before then? Or is it just going to be a slugfest the whole way?
Like, there's a lot of things you can do to benefit yourself for whenever you get out while you're in the military. Like we get like free college, and I'm obviously not, but there's also there's so many like trade stuff you can do. Like I know 4 guys that are doing welding. Like they plan on getting out like as soon as they can, but they're doing the Marine welding program that you can do. It's 2 months and you get your welding certificate, and they'll be making like 60 to 80 grand starting out anywhere they go. So
well, how about while you're still in the military? Is there anything, any sort of promotion you're looking to get? Anything like that?
I definitely want to hit sergeant before I get out, because sergeant is kind of like the big rank that people go for whenever they're in their four-year enlistment. But it's hard to reach for some MOSs. It's really hard to reach. Mine, the cutting score to get promoted in my MOS is pretty low. I truly think I'll be able to make sergeant whenever I get out, but if I get out as a corporal, so be it. I won't have a big deal with it. I get promoted next month to lance corporal. So
congratulations. So what's the culture like out there? You're not allowed to drink, is that right?
We love drinking. Well, truly, like the culture around, especially the Marine Corps, is that we love to drink. Just because, like, it's a stressful job. It's really stressful, and all you want to do on that Friday night, you've done all your work that week. You just want to relax and have a few beers. Like, I don't go overload. I don't get plastered every week, and I have a nice 6-pack. That's it. And I just drink, and I chill out in my room. That's it. And it's fine. So, but some guys I know, they drink every single day after work. They'll drink multiple beers. Hell, they'll wake up in the morning and take 2 shots of vodka, and they'll go to work. Like
Goodbye, liver.
Yeah, they're champs about it though. Like they go all messed up, hungover, and
Is that something you have to hide?
Oh
Or-
yeah.
okay.
If you get caught, you get man. Now that I'm actually stationed out in California, it's much more lenient to where because like they aren't screaming at us anymore. Like as long as you don't mess up. And they rarely come to the barracks, so like everything's fine. And if you're 21, you're allowed to drink in the room. So that's what I do. So
I know we went off on a bunny trail a little bit, but just for military naive people like myself, what's the path like to sergeant? What are those ranks to get there?
So it goes it's different for every branch, but Marines it goes private, PFC, Lance Corporal, and then sergeant. So a sergeant is an E5. It's E1, E2, E3, E4, so on, up to E10, sergeant major, and all of that. So, but those are guys that have been in for like 25 years. So, yeah. So I'm really hoping to get it. And from Lance Corporal to Corporal, it's a year in. So I'm gonna once I pick up next month, I'll get promoted to Corporal if I have the cutting score next July.
And how do they determine these scores?
So your PFT score, your CFT scores, which are the two fitness type scores that you do, the higher the score, the more chances. But there's a lot more that goes into it. Your rifle score, like you have to qual on the range once a year, and determining on that goes into your cutting score. Your pros and cons go into it, and the pros and cons are given to you by the one more up from you. Like my corporal gives me my pros and cons. And
what goes into that, pros and cons?
Just your job performance. Pretty much just your job performance. Like my corporal was really generous. It's out of 5. It's out of 5.0. My corporal was really generous to me and gave me a 4.8 out of 5.
Oh.
So, but he does I consider myself to be a PFC, but there was a while there, like a month, where my corporal wasn't there, so I was doing the work of a corporal for that short amount of time. So.
How hard is it to get a 5 on that ranking?
Everything has to be perfect. Your CFT, like everything that I just explained, has to be perfect. Your qual score on the range, your PFT, CFT, your job performance, your customs and courtesies. Like every time you pass someone at work that's a higher rank than you, good morning. If it's an officer, good morning, sir. If it's a corporal, good morning, corporal, sergeant, good morning, sergeant. And if they see that you're lacking in that, that's going to reflect on your pros and cons. So just simple stuff like that. It's not that hard to be a good Marine. Like I see some guys that are just shitbags, and I don't understand how and they don't get promoted and they wonder why. It's because you're a shitbag. Like you don't do what you're supposed to do. That everything they taught us before we reached this point, like you're not doing it. But there'll always be those guys. But those guys will always be the ones that will make it easier for me to get promoted. So I have at it. I don't care.
Yeah,
So.
I think in all walks of life, there's a lot of people that aren't putting in the work yet, complaining about the lack of accolades they get.
Exactly.
So you'll have
right.
that.
Right.
I asked just out of curiosity. You brought up earlier that you're super into powerlifting, which is almost the immediate thing I think of when I think of Dylan Cleck is having 600 plus pounds on the squat rack and beating up the Will's gym power rack. Yeah. I would love to go into that story. But are you still powerlifting?
I'm not. So if you get into, there's a lot of Marines that still lift really heavy weight, but it has a negative reflection on your CFT and PFT scores, because you're gaining all this weight from lifting all this heavy weight, right? That's obviously going to take down from your run time, from your pull-ups, so you really, if you're going for promotions and going for getting ahead in the military, you just want to focus on that body weight strength and that run time. So that's the only reason I don't anymore. So, but
I got you.
But as soon as I get out in 3 years, I'm definitely getting back into, because I miss it so much. I
gotcha. Can you tell us about the Willows story destroying?
How I bent the thing? Yeah.
I see that every day I go into Willows.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't want to steal it from you.
Yeah. All right. So it was. I was going for a 500 squat. I was going for 2 reps, and I got the first rep so easy. And this was without a belt too. This was a raw squat. And I went down. I got the first one. I was like, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm gonna go for the second one. And my dumbass, I didn't have any wraps on, so this bar, and I like the low bar squat, so it's low on my back, and it just kept sliding down, and boom, just out of my control, just came down 500 pounds onto the bars, and just the one bar just bent. And I showed Todd right away. I felt bad, so I showed Todd, the owner of the gym, and he wasn't even pissed. He was like, okay.
And I saw the video. When I saw it, I walked in that day, like later after you were there, and they're like, look what Cleck did to the squat rack. I thought you'd like failed on a heavy squat, and then I watched the video. You like finished the rep. It's just that you have a low bar, and it's like you finished the top of your second rep, and then the bar from the top of the rep just flies down onto the squat rack. And to this day, the power rack is
still there. They haven't, I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, good times. Gym. Yeah.
So, shifting gears a little bit, what are the chances that you get sent somewhere overseas, and how would you feel about that?
So, at some point, I'm looking to get deployed. It's not going to be anytime soon. I'm not allowed to say about like when or anything like that, but depending on the circumstances that we're in terms of like war or peacetime, everyone's been going to Japan because we have a lot of military over there. And everyone always says about how Japan is so fun to be at. And the stories I hear, it sounds like a great time. And we actually just had one of our platoons in our unit. They went for a 6-month deployment to Japan about 3 weeks ago. And I was talking to some of those guys, and they were really excited about it. It's just there's so much stuff you can do over there.
So I don't want to push you too much on the specifics, but how much do you actually get to know about these operations as an enlisted, like PFC? Did they let you in on much of that, or
No,
is it just you're just working for them?
Not at all. There's a lot of things that happen. Like, you get told a lot that is complete, like, just, it's lies. Like, I've been told, hey, you're getting deployed next month, and it obviously didn't happen. That was months ago. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens, which is something just one thing, another big reason I'm getting out of the Marine Corps is just because that kind of stuff bothers me. I like to have a plan, and I like to know what's going to be happening to me. So nothing is certain until it happens. That's really how it is. Being my rank, being so low, that's the situation. But like as you go up to like sergeant and above, you start to get the go ahead, and you learn the plans earlier on. So yeah,
that's rough, dude.
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting blindsided with being deployed somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Gotta get up and go.
Yeah, right.
Adios.
Yeah. So
what about after you get out? Any sort of plans with reserves or anything like that, or are you just gonna cut it?
Yeah. So
flat?
The contract I signed, like that they've been doing for the past like 2 years, is that it's 4 years active, but you have to be on 4 years standby reserves afterwards, which is you don't have to do any of the reserve stuff, but if we go to war and they need you, they can call you back within those 4 years. That's what it is. So, like you don't have to, like, I'm gonna be able to do whatever I want that's against like Marine Corps policy when I'm out, because I'm considered a civilian at that point. But if I'm called back, I have to completely stop all that stuff that I'm not allowed to do. But hopefully we don't go to war. Hopefully they don't need me. So because like I know one of my buddies, he just got out. He's going to he's going over to Switzerland or something like that, and he's going to be out of country. So, and he has that 4-year, standby reserve contract. So they call him back, they can't get him because he's in another country. So I might go to another country for 4 years after I get out, because I don't want to go back. But yeah, that's how it is. So yeah, but getting out, the plans I have, I don't know if I want to move somewhere or not or yet. Like, I truly, I'm not even really going to pay attention to it until I'm out, because I'm going to have all the time in the world. I plan on taking a 6 to 8 month break from anything whenever I get out, and I kind of do want to travel America, maybe even outside of America a little bit, and just see the world. I want to do a lot of hiking and a bunch of different popular mountains and stuff, because I love hiking now ever since I joined the Marines, because we hike a lot. So but then that's really about it until I come up with a plan after that little just 6 to 8 months to do something. I won't know it. I'm definitely not going to, I've explained this, I'm not going back to further my education.
Yeah.
But even stuff like being a state police officer, like that's something military guys seem to have a trend on, and you have to do a little bit of schooling, sure, but it's nothing that would stress me out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else you spitballed? I know you said right now like state police, but also with your dad's paving company. Any other ideas?
So me and my buddy Alex White, you guys know him. We talk about moving down to Colorado because we love there's this town in Colorado called Boulder, and it's one of the most gorgeous places I've ever seen in the entirety of America. It's like mountains surrounding, beautiful everything, like hiking trails, and it's like 45 minutes, an hour away from Denver. So just get a nice job in the city because he's a business major, and my MOS is involved with what a business major would do. So we were thinking about we were spitballing that, but chances of that happening are slim to none. But hey, it's always a possibility. So
have you actually been to Boulder yet?
I haven't. I've only seen stuff from Google Images, but from the looks of it, it looks amazing. And I talked to Colby Hambright. He was down in Colorado for a long time, and he said that he visited Boulder over there, and he said it was gorgeous. He said,
Where were you when you were out in Colorado?
So I went to Denver, and then we took a little trip to the west, a little bit of Denver, got to some hot springs, and then the bulk of the trip that I took with my friend Ricky was we went up to Yellowstone in Wyoming, and that was great. If you like hiking, man, that's the place to be, Yellowstone.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was a cool trip. I loved Colorado. That was awesome.
It's definitely gonna be one of the first places on my to go list after I get out. Is Colorado. It'll probably be my first place I go because I love it. It looks beautiful there. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. There's plenty of other places I want to go visit. So yeah, but
Gotcha. I'm trying really hard to go visit this summer with our friend Caleb Foster that you know, and coincidentally, probably tomorrow's podcast guest.
Yeah.
But yeah, because he spent some time living out there. But yeah, I think I might go out for a week this summer, so that'd be pretty cool.
All right, so this is a really stupid question, but
Go at
I
it.
just want to
I'm
know,
ready.
do you feel like you've changed as a person since you joined the Marines?
So I had a pretty big ego beforehand before going into the military. I'll admit it. Like my ego was through the roof. I thought I was this badass dude, just like on top of the world. I could do a squat and bench a bunch of weight. I just thought I was a badass. And then, you actually go and you realize you aren't shit. Like truly, you aren't they just destroy you. Like that's what they take away from you at boot camp. They destroy your ego and just they make you realize that in comparison to everything, you truly aren't shit. So, but and with that though, they take that away, but building you back up, I feel like it has brought me so much more confidence. Truly, I used to get so nervous and anxious talking to these pretty girls, right? But now it's I don't give a shit. hell, it's I really don't. I haven't met a famous person, but I feel like if I met a famous person, I wouldn't be ooh, yeah, autograph, So it's truly just something that it's so much less of a deal. It's not as important anymore. For situations like that, the confidence has gone up tenfold. My put in stressful situations, they do such a good job at boot camp teaching you how to deal with stressful situations. And that's something I've taken out from the Marine Corps is that just to stay calm and get it done to the best of your ability. And if you do the best you can, and if you fail, what the hell else could you have done about it? It's just get over it, move on, keep pushing forward. So
Sounds to me like you guys do a lot of mental workouts.
Yeah.
In
absolutely.
relation to, it's a lot of physical, but the mental sounds
it's
like the main
definitely
thing.
more mental than fit. There's some things that I had a big that just the big things that pretty much destroyed me as a person in boot camp was we have to do the gas chamber. And that was, I still have nightmares about that. That was truly a moment for me. So you stand out of this place, and I was one of the last groups to go, so I was standing at attention for like an hour and a half, 2 hours out there watching my fellow recruits go into this gas chamber. And you would see them about 20 minutes later run out, just puking and just mucus running down their face like they're dying. And I was nervous as hell going into it, and rightfully so. I went into it, and so you can't die in it, but in my mind, that was one of the few times in my life where I actually thought to myself, holy shit, I could actually die here. Because you go in with a gas mask, right? But you purposely break that seal to bring in all that gas, right? You put your fingers right here and you break it, and you have to breathe in and open your eyes, and this just sucks into your body, and it is one of the most horrific feelings ever in the world. Like, I just can't even describe it. You truly feel like you're going to die, but I didn't, so and with that, overcoming that, it has made me like that. Talk about a stressful situation. Like I don't think many people, like, they feel like they say, oh, I felt like I was gonna die, and I've had situations before, but like going into the gas chamber, that was the first true moment that I actually thought I was going to die.
What's going through your head when this is happening?
Honestly, just try the whole thing as I was sucking in that gas was just breathe, just get in as much oxygen as you can. And it was hard because the more you breathe in, it's gas. Yeah. And that was that. And then they have you doing jumping jacks, and they have you doing exercise, and you can't breathe
in the gas chamber.
Yeah, in the gas chamber. Yeah.
Do they tell you why they're doing this to you, or is it just you're supposed to just get through it?
So you have to, I have to do it again in about a month, because you have to do a yearly qualify. You have to qualify yearly, because if you're put into a real situation, they want you to be ready for it, to put on that gas mask and just zip it up.
And what if something happens? What if you pass out, or if you say, no, man, I'm not going in there?
Then you get kicked out.
Jeez.
Yeah. We had 2 guys. I remember seeing that they refused to go into the gas chamber, and they got sent home. They got kicked out of basic training. So yeah, there's nothing you can do. You just have to do it, and it sucks, right? But another thing I've learned is that if you're gonna do it, just stop bitching and bullshit and just go and do it, and just try your best, really.
From the outside looking in, doing things like that, it seems like it made, at least the people in the military I know, like you, it kind of cultivates this mentality where when you're in a stressful situation, you guys are like, relax, look around, make a decision. Right.
And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Like, imagine being put in a real life combat situation. Like, you can't be lollygagging around. Like you have to make a decision of what to do, and you have to do it to the best of your ability. And if you haven't had any prior training, you're going to die. Like, that's how simple it is if you really think about it. So what they do teach you really comes down to being put in a combat situation. Like, if we go to war at any time, like, a majority of people are going to be put into combat, and they need to know what to do, or else they're going to die. So they are doing it for us. Yeah. So we know, so we're in a better situation whenever the time comes.
And of course, way down the road, when the consequences aren't as big, like, say, for example, if you were to take over your dad's business, I feel like that has to transcend military then. Right. And when you're dealing with what a lot of other people would be like, oh, this is a stressful business situation, whatever it is, like, fill in the blank, you'll have that already. I don't know. You will have nurtured that mentality to relax, look around, make a decision. Yeah. When people of, like me or other civilians, would be freaking out over simpler things.
Right. Yeah. Like it definitely goes into the civilian world, because, like, you're not going to be put in a situation that's stressful in the civilian world, like, saying my father's business, like, a dump truck breaks down, I'm not gonna be freaking out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I did before. Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, I think, well, from what I've seen, like, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but it just seems like society nowadays, like, just everyone just finds something to bitch about and to stress out over when you really don't need to. Like, it's just, I mean, and I don't blame them, because I used to do the same thing before I went through everything, so it's really not for them to blame. I mean, they're just doing what everyone else is doing, just moaning and bitching about everything they can, and they think that's going to help them out. I used to do that too, but it's really not. So I wish more people would learn that, truly. Yeah.
So another thing I'm really curious about, it is a pretty hot topic right now. You don't have to get into personal stories or any name dropping or anything like that. But I'm pretty curious about what's the mental health like of military personnel.
So
you don't have to get into specifics or anything.
So we obviously have a problem in this country with veterans committing suicide, and like because obvious of their mental health. But I hate to say it, I don't want to play for both sides, but like, signing that contract, like, you knew what you were getting into, and you knew there were consequences to come with involving your mental health. Now, definitely there could be some things in terms of like veteran benefits that could be better, because you hear about stories now about how the benefits are like really bad. Like, there's veterans waiting years, literal years, to get their depression medication and all of that. And I think that's something that's pretty messed up. Especially those like Vietnam guys. Like, I can't imagine the sort of hell that they went through, like just hearing stories about it. And I think and the kind of stuff they had to deal with, like you just went and fought your ass off in Vietnam just to come home to be called baby killer by every other hippie at the time, like at the airports. And like, I just think that's wrong. And I think this country needs to do a lot better job of taking. I mean, obviously this country can do a lot better job at multiple things. But I just think that we need to help those guys out, because we owe them a great debt that I don't think we'll ever be able to repay. So
you think that same culture that might be feeding into, well, I guess the same culture that is concerned about this mental health might also be feeding into some of the problems itself.
Right.
Yeah. That's an interesting take. Yeah. Very interesting. Wow. Yeah.
Touchy subject.
It is very touchy.
Oh, I want to tell.
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I want to tell a story.
Yeah, you go for it.
All right, so this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. So everything's been serious up to this. Like, this is funny as hell, and I wanted to share it because I haven't shared it. So back in MOS school, we were in the waiting platoon, and people were drinking that night. Oh, it was a 72, which is a 3-day weekend in military term. And over one of those days, everyone was drinking at the waiting barracks. And these guys, they were like, I don't know, they were just drunk off their ass. I was watching them. I wasn't involved. I'm making that clear now. So they go up. So a barracks has three decks to it, 3 stories, right? These guys take this dude up to, he wanted to do it though. He volunteered. He took him up to 3rd deck, which is 3 stories off the ground, and they brought up 2 mattresses, right? 2 mattresses we sleep in. Got a shitload of tape, no kidding. They wrapped this duct tape, put him in between the mattresses, and just duct taped them all around so it wouldn't move. Chucked his ass off a 3rd deck. It was flying, and our mattresses are safe; they're hard. So he goes flying, and I was watching from the bottom, and this guy's yelling as he gets, but he's happy as hell. He gets tossed off, lands on the ground, and we go running over to check on him, right? And we're like, dude, are you all right? He's laughing his ass off. He just had but obviously, duty came over and was checked because they heard a bunch of ruckus, so we had to stop at that point. But he wanted to do it again. It was one of the funniest things ever. I wish I could have recorded it, but if you get caught recording that stuff, you get in a bunch of trouble and stuff like that. But it was one of the best. I truly wish everyone could have seen that moment, because it was one of the highlights of my military career. Yeah. So.
Oh man!
I think that could be a good story to cap it off on. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah, man. So, we really appreciate you coming on.
Dude,
the
thank you for having me. I've always wanted to do a podcast, and it was great to be here. So I thank you for that.
That was awesome, man. You want to tell people maybe where they can follow you, if online or anything like that?
Yeah, Clecky61, CLECKY61 on Instagram, and that's really about it. I don't really want anyone on Twitter. I don't even get on Twitter. So yeah, just Instagram. So that's about it.
Playing any RuneScape on Twitch?
Dude, I streamed way back in the day, and I loved it, but obviously I did it up until I joined the military, so I haven't done it in a year and a half about. So, but as soon as I get out, Dirty Dilly on Twitch. Yeah. That's right.
All right, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
See everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find us on Facebook at Insights of All Trades. Find us on Instagram at Insights of All Trades. Twitter is IOAT Podcast. And send us your insights via email at insightsofalltrades@gmail.com. You can also DM us if you have some insights, and we'll include you at the beginning of the podcast. Thanks again. See you soon.